Blog number 41, Fumbling and Bumbling, a True Triathlon Story. I never was one who was into sports in a very big way. Well, any kind of way, actually. Oh, okay, sure. So I did play Little League Baseball, flag football in 6th grade, and grade school basketball for just 1 year. Mostly, though, I played for the other reasons than because I found enjoyment in competition. That's all behind me now, and all that I can really do is at this point is look back and imagine that had I liked sports and competition, I would have lived, breathed, and practiced the craft until I became truly proficient. Of course, I can currently only speculate, but the reality is that if I had become some kind of sports phenom, that by this point I would already be retired and done. I guess that is kind of like saying that if Elvis were alive today, he'd be dead by now. Anyway, it would have been a career that was cut short by the ceaseless ravages of ataxia. However, all would not be lost, because on the plus side, I could then become the famous face of this neurological disease and be the spokesman to bring a public attention and awareness that so many of us are striving for. I am, however, in endless competition with myself, and as such, wondered what it would be like to simply execute some household chores while being timed. I could then strive to break my own record, while enthusiastic sports commentators would be delivering a blow-by-blow account of the frenzied action. And when I say frenzied action, think half-frozen molasses being poured through a pinhole. So with that thought in mind, I set my sights on 3 everyday activities that I engage in. They are the beverage lid screw on. I have mentioned this one before, that I seem to have great difficulty putting screw-type lids back on containers without dropping the lid multiple times and becoming very frustrated. This particular competition will encompass the retrieval of the beverage from the refrigerator, the removal of the cap, the successful pouring of the chosen drink into a glass, and I say successful because something always gets spilled, although I'm not convinced this is entirely my fault, because the glass always seems to be moving and dodging all about. And finally, the retwisting of the cap. My personal best in this event is just under 3 minutes. That is, if I don't become disqualified first for spilling. I will be working hard to beat that score and hold the record in this competition for one. I keep confetti in my pocket so that at any time I can whoop and holler in unbridled joy, because I never know when that moment may come. But when it does come, I will always have to cup my hands around my mouth, clap, and make sounds like a large crowd of spectators. And in the pictures below, I am preparing to train for this event. The second event is called the PB&J. I enjoy a good nutritious lunch, which usually involves the standard peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, also I make that sandwich because it is the usual staple of my lunch, and I've become lazy, and it has become a habit that has been carried over from my childhood. Those were the days when I could slap one of these delicious cuisines together in about 15 seconds. I think it takes me twice that long now just to get the 2 pieces of bread out of their heavily fortified plastic bag. And so, in the coming days, I will be training hard. At least once a day, roughly between 12 and 12:30 p.m. Since I am my own competition and I do not have to keep my training regime a secret, I will let you take a peek into my training as provided by the pictures below. The last event And the third is called the mousetrap. Perhaps the most physically challenging of the triathlon, this rewarding but most sometimes brutal discipline can alternate between triumph or tears. It is definitely not for the weak and should not be attempted without the proper training or supervision. Lives have been lost. I have been doing this for a number of years now and it never gets any easier. In fact, it is becoming more challenging, and I have included it in the triathlon event because it demands dexterity and a high level of concentration. The idea will be to try and set a mousetrap in under 2.5 minutes. Well, I think if I focus that I just might be able to do this. And as long as there are mice that want to come into my house, I will continue. Pay attention, mice. The no vacancy light is on. My training pictures are below. All the activities that I just mentioned were, in a very simplified way, letting you all know that I have not given up. My encouragement to you is that you would not quit on yourself either, that you would continue to fight and to attempt those things that are in your everyday life that used to be so simple. So many things were taken for granted, and I know, my friends, that it is a struggle, one that can be very disheartening, frustrating, and painful at times. The key, I believe, is to focus on what we still can do. You can bring support to someone else who might currently be having a tougher time than you are. You can bring wisdom and experience to those who are newly receiving a diagnosis and are scared or confused. You can bring inspiration to many people by sharing your stories of triumph, victory, or even times when it didn't go so well. You have all touched me and inspired me in one way or another, and I just want to thank you and encourage you all, my friends, to keep on keeping on.